Welcome back to the Hype Coach podcast. I'm your host, Safa Al Chami, and I have a real treat for you once again. I have an amazing woman. Her name is Lamia Daher, and she is a part of Sterling Legal. And we're going to talk about everything to do with women's rights, DV, and we're going to add some lightheartedness and a really intricate insight into law and family dynamics. I am going to place a trigger warning onto this. We are going to talk about financial abuse or all forms of abuse, physical abuse, and all the nitty-gritty stuff. So please, I will place a very heavy trigger warning for anyone, just so you understand what's to come and what is expected. If you don't feel the need to listen to this, you can stop at any time and come back to it later. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it. We're here to give you the value. We're here to give you some insight from a therapist and a lawyer who's been in the industry for over 20 years. So Lamia, could you please introduce yourself to my lovely followers and my lovely listeners?
Hello, everyone. So my name's Lamia Daher. I'm a lawyer based in Sydney, but do work all over Australia. I focus mainly on family law and commercial litigation matters. I'm a little bit different to your basic lawyer. I actually provide a personalized service to my clients. My clients' needs and expectations are the most important thing to me. That basically sums me up. I'm also a mother of 3. Oops, better put that in.
Just slide
that in. And I work 24/7, which is probably not a healthy thing.
That's okay. I mean, look at you. We're sprinkling our fairy dust all over the world, make the world a better place. We are the gems of the community, and I know I value you. You've given me a lot of insight in the past and a lot of insight to my clients that I refer you to. And you just know it. You're also the most fashionable lawyer that I ever know. So I know you hold that little crown.
I don't know if I'm dressed for that title today, but I'll take it. Thanks.
Definitely. You guys have to see her her content, but love it. So, Lamia, could you tell me a little bit about your story, how you got here, where you are today?
So, all in all, I got here for various reasons. I found myself wanting something a little bit different, but found myself in a position where I needed to advocate for women's rights, particularly in the sphere of family law. I jumped on Instagram recently because of my daughter who had put the scarf on, and she didn't feel like there was a place for her and she was limited in opportunity. And I thought, oh, well, no, the scarf does not stop you from, doing whatever it is that you want to do in life. And so I said to her, look, I'm going to do this. This is something way out of my comfort zone. Anyone who knows me knows I'm very private. And I just wanted to show her that, you can do anything you want to do. And then when I jumped on Instagram, it became apparent that there was some real issues in our community and there was a void in assisting people in their family law disputes. And so Lamia Lawyer was born.
Wow. I think I first came across your page. There was a soccer player. I think his name is Hakimi.
Yeah.
That video. I actually came from that video. I came from that video. That was like the OG video, and I found you. I was like, oh my God, she's in Sydney. And I started following you from then. And then me and you started we had a couple lunches, and love your insight. And Lamia is just an absolute gem. She really creates an individual. It's like me as a therapist. I'm very individualized with it. I make sure all the goals are there for the client. You do that for your clients, and I think that's probably why you just resonate so well. Because, I think you're not your typical lawyer. You're very authentic. You're very fresh. Would you agree?
Yeah, I'm different. I think my focus, unlike most general lawyers, they take a very, focused on billable approach, whereas my approach is really my clients' needs, expectations, and a good outcome for them. Yeah. It's not so much as what my bottom line is. It's more so, can they walk away happy with this result?
Yeah.
That's one part of it. And then the other part of it, obviously, is providing community advice on issues such as, DV, law disputes, anything around that kind of area, just because I feel like I owe it to our community to help them out. And a lot of people out there don't actually know their rights.
Yes.
And so this is the reason why I am actually on Instagram, because so many people don't know their rights.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think people do have a sort of like a fear of contacting a lawyer because they're so scared that, just because they can't afford it at the moment or they don't know, a lawyer's fees, they kind of get, like clouded. Their judgment starts to get clouded because they're like, oh my God, I don't know my rights. I can't afford a lawyer or I can't afford some sort of legal advice. What are my options? And sometimes they just don't have the options and they take kind of like the hard road ultimately.
Well, not only take the hard road, they listen to their exes and they take their legal advice.
Yeah.
That's really disappointing, but also heartbreaking because that person is misusing his trust or her trust and an advantage of a person who is suffering from whatever situation it may be, whatever the trauma is. And so, my page is basically a resource for people to jump on. I try to make it lighthearted with a little bit of fashion.
Yeah.
Essentially, it's there to support people in our community who are having law issues. Yeah.
That's very important what you just said, actually. I'm just going to pull something apart and I'm just going to add it to everything that we're saying. A woman is in a relationship, right? Naturally, we're going to look at our husbands or our partners as a sense of provider or a sense of relief or a sense of attachment, I'm going to say. But this is very important because if a woman isn't educated in rights and understands not just legally right, just with her values and what she's entitled to, and the man sees that form of dependency and attachment, he may definitely manipulate the situation and go, "That's it, I got her." And then he can sway her whatever way, and then it can cause a sense of being stuck and a sense of kind of there is basically no way out.
Yeah. Well, I think the important point from what you said is also doesn't necessarily just come from the woman's personality to look for someone, the caretaker, someone to look after her.
Right.
Sometimes your spouse or your partner manipulates you and basically trains you into believing that you have no rights.
Yes.
That you are not entitled to ask, questions about your finance, about your assets, or about the family home, or whatever the situation is.
Yeah.
Or even about your children, that you have no rights over your children.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yes.
So you, in your position and in your work, you must see that a lot.
100%. 100%. Like I find myself really, like as a therapist, you kind of wear all different hats. And I think as a lawyer, you also do the same thing. Like there will be time where you play the counselor or you play, the friend or you play, you actually have to put the lawyer hat on. I think as a therapist, I have to wear different hats and I have to be like, I know a little bit of law. I know a little bit of this and I know a little bit of that. I have to wear that thing because a lot of people come to me because they don't know their rights. They don't know what they're entitled to. And this is what pushes people away from divorce because they don't understand their rights. And they're like, I'm stuck like this forever, so I might as well stay.
That's right. It's very heartbreaking for me personally.
Yeah.
When I speak to a lot of people in our community who aren't aware of their rights because, they're, for whatever reason, they're not aware. And, this is why we're here. And this is why you and I are here, not just for you emotional support or recovery, but for us also for guidance into the legal sphere as to what your rights really are.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm always happy to talk to people, even if, it's not even a potential client, just to give them some direction as to the options that are available to them. And if that's the whole conversation, then I've done my part.
Do you have any, I'm going to use like a sort of case study that you recently you've dealt with in the past? And maybe you can put that forward and then we can kind of pinpoint it at that.
Yeah. So we had one case which involved a lady who was married for over 20 years, she ran a family business with her then husband. And during the course of that 20 years, it was a very traumatic relationship, very abusive relationship. So he stopped working during the relationship because he had suffered some kind of injury, and he had to attend the shop every day. And if she didn't make enough money that day, he would basically assault her physically if the takings weren't up to where they should be.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, and just to add a little bit of twist to this, he was obviously also cheating on her with her friends and family, and she actually caught them together at one stage.
Oh my
So
goodness, poor woman.
yeah, and people often say, "Well, why did she wait so long?"
Yeah.
Well, it's not that simple. There's a lot of emotions and trauma bonding, as you would know,
Yeah.
attached
100%.
to this type of relationship, and it sometimes takes a long time for the woman to be strong enough
Yeah.
to leave.
Yeah.
And I don't think people address these issues enough in our community.
Yeah.
That it's not as simple as saying, "Oh, well, why did she stay? She deserves it."
Yeah. It's horrible.
It's horrible, right? Oh, gosh, I will never get over that. People are so cruel. But anyway, and eventually she came to see us. We represented her in the family court, and we successfully obtained 85% of the matrimonial asset pool.
Wow.
Yeah, but
Wow.
this woman had gone through a lot.
Yeah, well, people are in like relationships for like 10, 20 years. I mean, the only person that they know is this person. So it's easy to kind of think that you start painting everyone with the same brush. Like, oh, if I leave this relationship, how do I know the next relationship is not going to be like the same way? And this is where if you were in a trauma bond before, you're more likely to come up with the exact same. We say, if you don't hear what hurt you, you will fall in love with the same demon, different person. And if she wasn't in a trauma bond and she doesn't acknowledge and do the healing necessary and identify what is her attachment style and do the work needed, she'll very much get into another, if she chooses to, if she's not traumatized enough after that, to go, oh my God, copy paste. And she's right back where we started. But like your client is fortunate enough that she actually did leave with something. But divorce isn't always the first option. People would think that, okay, shit's going south, I'm out. It's not always the first option. There's a lot of, especially if there's children involved, there is a lot of stake.
There are a lot of factors that people consider. And then people have to say to me, "Oh, you're a home worker."
Yeah.
And I laugh because, I can't convince someone to get a divorce, first of all. I don't think you understand what a relationship means if you think I'm going to be able to convince someone to leave their partner of 20 years, right? There's a lot more involved. And it takes a lot of factors for a person to say, okay, I can't do this anymore. I have to leave.
Yeah.
And every person is different, right? And part of my role when I'm sitting down with someone and, people often want to sit and talk to me, I can gauge them in the first, 1 to 2 minutes, whether they've made their mind up or not.
Yeah.
I just had one woman yesterday, husband cheated on her, won't, tell her anything about their finances. She's got, I think, 4 or 5 kids. But I was sitting down with her and I said do you want to do this? And she goes, no, I don't want a divorce. Well, I go, well, what would you like from me? And she goes, oh, I just want to know, what are my rights? And I said, oh, no problem. We sat down, we had a chat. And I said, with people like that, my focus is to say, okay, there's no shame in working on a relationship.
Yes.
Okay. There's no shame in it. No matter what the other person's done to you. I mean, I personally draw a line on physical violence or even emotional and mental violence, mental abuse.
Yeah.
But if you want to make it work, that's your decision. But you have to be very strategic about it, right?
Yes.
You got to seek professional help. You can't the person can't just say to you, oh, I'm sorry, I won't do this again. No, if he's addict
Oh,
of
no.
some sort.
Yeah.
Okay. And there's very, I don't know if you've seen that, but there's like so many various types of addicts out there.
Oh, 100%.
If an addict comes up to you and says, okay, I'm so sorry, I won't, go around cheating on you every single day. Let's put it in
Yeah.
very rated form.
Yeah.
That's not going to be enough.
Not enough.
The needs to seek professional help.
Yes.
No, there's no shame in trying to make it work with him,
Yeah. Yeah.
but he's got to take that step.
Or otherwise, it's just going to fall right back into the habit.
Exactly.
Analogy. I like it because it's basically, especially when we're talking about cheating, when it comes to like, there's a porn addiction, there is we call it zina of the eye, looking onto naked bodies. There's you can even argue that abuse is some form of addiction because you get addicted to the power. Really.
Well, it's funny you should say that because I've had a lot of cases recently. I don't know why recently. Sexual addiction.
Yeah.
And it's quite serious. And this addiction, I was excited to try it out in court as a form of wastage of the matrimonial assets. So if okay, so we know that gambling, drinking, that is a form of wastage. Okay. And the other party, so the other spouse, can claim that in the family court. But I really wanted to go out there and run a case on sexual sexual addiction and its wastage and its matrimonial.
I can definitely stick because I have a client, her partner, it was addicted to the escort service.
Yeah.
And he was on like a injury. So he was using the family assets, but every single time the family assets, like let's say, for example, she would work. She was fortunate enough to have a really good paying job. Every single time she'd obviously put her money into it. She's like, where's the money? Oh, the car needed something. Oh, I lent it to my friend. But it's not your money. First of all, that's not really your money. It's the family's money. She's trying to keep them afloat and he has no income. That would make a lot of sense if you argue that way. Because if he was to get multiple escort services, that costs money.
Yeah, it has to be frequent.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Just like, if you drink.
This person was going like multiple times a week.
So and same with us. So we had the client whose partner was frequently visiting brothels every day.
Wow.
Okay. And so this is a form of addiction.
Yeah.
Let's just call it for what it is. And she could definitely claim wastage in the family court.
Wow. Yeah.
So it's sad, but it's a reality that we're all living in right now.
Yeah. And it's actually one that's really problematic as well. Like it's severely problematic. I think I'm sure part of some women's pages on Facebook. Every other post is someone cheating on someone and someone either like it's very, very kind of in your face.
Yeah. Unfortunately, when people tell me their partner has cheated on them, it doesn't affect me the way it should anymore.
Same. It kind of, I've heard it. I've heard it plenty of times. That's why I think you when you've been in this for so long, you kind of get not numb to it, but you understand it. Like it doesn't phase you as much as it used to.
Yeah, which is sad, right?
Yeah, it is.
It shouldn't be acceptable. It shouldn't be something that we're unfazed by. It's heartbreaking to watch the person going through it, but unfortunately, it's so common, men and women. Like you can't generalize.
Yeah,
men and women do it. So it's sad.
Taken the cheating in legal matters isn't like Australia doesn't recognize it.
In the court system, well, Australia is a no-fault divorce.
Yeah.
Okay? You don't need a reason to divorce your partner in Australia. Okay?
That's a very important one.
It's got no importance in the facts. If you want a divorce, you're entitled to a divorce, right? And that's it. Whether he's gay, whether she's gay, whether, there's an addiction, that's got nothing to do with it. You go in, you get your divorce and you're done. So, yeah. Cheating is not. There's no you don't need a reason.
So let's delve into what stops someone from getting a divorce then, in your opinion?
Where do I?
In my opinion as well. Unless you want to start with me, so I don't know.
Why don't you start? Because your one would be, I don't know, maybe similar, maybe we overlap.
Yeah, we would have to have
your opinion first.
So some of the reasons why someone would not seek a divorce is divorce has a certain level of shame. It holds a lot of shame, like a lot, like your marriage failed, you're broken.
To this day. It's so crazy.
Your fault as a woman or your fault as a man, your marriage didn't work, you're broken, there's something wrong with you.
That's right. That's
right? So that's
weird in this day and age.
Yeah, and it's kind of like, I mean, it's 2024. Get with the program. Hello. Like, and another thing that people from getting divorced is, I've known this person for 15, 20 years. I don't like this person anymore, or I don't like this person who they've become anymore, but I've done the hard yards. Do I really want to start over with someone new? That's another part. That is actually interesting because I have a little take on it. It's perfectly okay for people to kind of grow apart or grow in. You're going to have to grow anyway. You either grow together or grow apart. That is
what you agree. I agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and the person you were 15, 20 years ago isn't the person that you are right now. Mm-hmm. So you're going to have to do like a sort of reroute of goals, reroute of values and beliefs, and kind of mesh them. So people think that divorce just happens. It doesn't just happen. You don't just wake up one day and go, I want a divorce. It doesn't work like that.
You don't just talk to your therapist or your lawyer and then bang, let's go get divorced, right? It's over time. And it's interesting. Sorry, not to cut you off.
No, it's okay.
I see this all the time. Women stay for so long unhappy, and then there's just one thing, and then that's it. She's done.
Yeah.
She won't go back.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But anyway, to go back to your question about what are you
like little breadcrumbs leading up to the actual growth.
Yeah.
So I'm unhappy, and I'm happy. It's like built up resentment, and then one thing leads to another, and then he'll say, oh, she asked for a divorce out of nowhere. It's never out of nowhere, bro. It's never out of nowhere. Never.
Bro, come on.
Like, never. Come on. Like, you weren't emotionally supporting her. You're financially abusing her. You weren't helping her with the kids, so she was the default parent. And then another thing that really stops people from getting divorced is the messiness of it. So we have the in-laws possibly completely isolating your kids because now they're from a divorced family. And whatnot. There's a shame there, and then there'll be conflict, and then this person's is pins on this person, and usually there's a smear campaign.
Yeah, there's always a smear campaign at the beginning.
Always. So what stops people from getting divorced ultimately is they hold on to what they want to hold on to from the relationship, and usually it's the parts that they put forward from their intention and their expectations. So like what they did for the relationship, like I've done this and I've done that and now I've done this. But people go too long where they realize, oh my God, this relationship is one-sided.
Yeah.
And then that realization comes, well, I'm out, I'm done. So that's my take.
Yeah, I agree with the messiness. Look, divorce doesn't need to be messy. If people are mature enough, you can have an amicable divorce.
Yeah.
And you can distribute the matrimonial assets amicably and avoid legals not completely, but a very minimalistic version of legals.
Yeah.
They'd be spending if they were amicable.
Yes.
And amicable means just to negotiate something fair to both parties. But yeah, it does get messy, eh? And when someone is stubborn or someone won't accept the fact that the other person wants a divorce and wants to, make their life difficult.
Yeah.
But from my perspective, I do agree with you. Community is a big factor.
Yeah.
It's surprising in 2024 that People are still shaming each other when, a marriage is broken down. Obviously, for me, my role as a lawyer, I see it a lot where leaders in our community, such as clerics and whatnot, they often tell the women, better for you to go back to
Yes.
a
Oh my
abusive
God.
relationship.
Oh my God. We're delving into
Controversial territory, Safa. I don't know. We're gonna get so much hate now.
baby girl. I'm good for it. I am. Yeah.
Hey, I just got told on the weekend I'm going straight to hell, so you'll add that to the list.
Okay. I literally have women in, and then here's my stake in therapy, right? Women will come to me and say, and it's very common, and I'm going to say again, there's a trigger warning on this episode. Please be aware of it. Let's say, for example, her husband is sexually abusing her. Yes, it is possible. Yes, it happens.
Of course.
Okay. People think that they live it. It happens even though you're in a marriage, and men take advantage of their wife and think that it's their right when it is it is not their right. So when women do khulur or want to do khulur and they go to the Imam's council, they do not grant her by no means possible a divorce. They will encourage her to go back. Do you know how worrying that is? Worrying that is that there is like abuse, like this woman is freaking bruised. And a man will be smart about it as well. He'll beat her in parts where her aura is so she can't show anyone, right? That's why we have some shukha who their wives are counselors. So they can show proof and then she can bear witness. But it kills me, the fact, and I had this client, right? It kills my absolute life.
Hey, don't worry.
It kills me, and I can't help it sometimes. I actually do start crying in the session with the client.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because this woman is being beaten bloody and blue. She's had the shittest childhood that you can ever come across. Okay, like horrible. Okay, and I'm not a brick wall. There has been times where I have cried in sessions, especially around DV. She will say, I've gone to the Imam Council, I've gone to multiple shuyukha, I've gone to multiple leaders. They will not grant me a divorce. They want me to go back, and they say, sister, I wonder what you've done to deserve this.
No, they actually said that.
I'm not even kidding you. This lady was literally dealing with this for over 6 years. Over 6 years. She was beaten even while she was pregnant with her younger children. And she was trying to get khulur for over 6 years. And every single time there was a countless like slap in the face. And even after that, she still had to do her iddah, which is fine. I'm like, I'm sorry, what? Like,
I feel like there's a gap there. Okay. I don't understand how they are justifying it. Okay. That severity of abuse being put on one person and rationalizing that she's better off going back. I don't understand that.
yes.
I had something similar, stalking, sexual violence, and she wanted a divorce, and they said, look, you're better off just to go back.
Yeah.
He didn't say it was her fault. He just said, look, considering your situation, I think it's better that you go back. And I'm just like, they make our jobs of educating people very difficult.
Yeah.
Because it's contradictory. No one should be dealing with or accepting that kind of abuse, right?
Yeah.
Let alone from your partner. So I think that is an issue, obviously, in our community. I think knowledge is a big factor.
It is.
People have to be educated of their rights.
Yeah.
I think support from family. I think it's getting better, family support.
Yeah.
I think that's still, from my perspective anyway, it's getting slightly better. But I do think that's another reason why people don't get divorced.
Agreed.
Did we say knowing their rights?
Yep.
Yeah. What else? Fear from what the ramifications of their exes.
Massive, massive, massive.
A lot of people say to me, Lamia Daher is not going to do anything.
No,
And
not enough.
that, imagine living in that much fear.
Yeah. Paranoia. Like, I will say paranoia kills me than anyone killing me. Like, paranoia itself, just, that mental, like, I can't. That's, imagine being, like, so worried to go and get groceries because you think someone's literally going to, like,
come at you. Yeah, of course.
That is, of course, scary. And then what happens is there was a woman, I think she passed away last year. She got a divorce from her partner. And, he had like an agreement. I think it was a verbal agreement. They didn't have time to do like all the legalities of it. They went and took their kids on the weekend, came back on Sunday night to drop them off, killed up.
Oh, wow.
It was an ex-partner. So these men have such a high need for control that even divorce itself, and these women know, divorce won't free them.
No, because they've got that control over them, and that's what I think, and you could disagree with me, that's what they get off on, and it continues post-divorce.
Yeah.
Until they find the next
high. So what are some common forms of abuse that you see in?
So I see a lot of, as probably you see, I don't know if we see the same things, but we see a lot, but some of them don't have as much impact in the courts as others. Okay, so for example, we see financial abuse, mental, physical, emotional.
Yeah, everything that you said. A common one that I see, I'm going to use like a specific little scenario. A specific scenario that I see countless times is the man wouldn't allow his wife's input in their financial responsibilities or decision.
A financial abuse, yeah.
And he would say, "Oh, you have nothing. You do nothing. Like, it's none of your business.
Yeah, you don't work. So therefore, this house is mine." That does not exist in Australia.
This car is mine. You own nothing. Even if you leave, you have nothing. Like,
I have as much as a man that goes out and works, or even vice versa. If the woman's working and the man's at home, he does just as much as she does it in the house.
Yes.
I think that's necessary to really bring that up. Just because you don't have a job outside of the house doesn't mean what you do inside is undervalued or undermined in Australian law, right?
God, yes. In Australian law, it's recognized.
Oh, of course.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And that's what people need to be aware of. Like, and sometimes they try and take away their kids from them. So it's not even just financially.
Yes.
And say, if you divorce me, you will never see your children. Just, to you and me, it'd be like, you'd be shocked if anyone ever said that to you. As ridiculous.
Yeah.
People that aren't aware of their rights as a parent.
I'm going to ask a question, right? Because it literally goes hand in hand. Okay. Australian law and Sharia law, right? I tell women that I work with, educate yourself around both. But correct me if I'm wrong, we abide by the rules of the land.
Yes, in Australia, we need to follow the Australian legal system.
Yes.
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 Can I just say something though?
Yes.
People come up to me, if you're going to bring up the whole Islamic law thing.
Go for it.
We're really putting targets on our heads, Safa, like seriously. But if you're going to bring up the whole Islamic thing, I will say this, okay? It is a person's choice. If they choose, and I get this often, women come up to me and say, I don't know what to do. Do I follow my Australian legal rights or do I follow my Islamic Sharia law rights?
Okay.
So I'm not the person that makes this decision for you. You are the person that you make that decision for you. I can tell you what it would look like.
Yeah.
You went down the Australian legal system and how well protected you would be, as opposed to if you went down the Islamic Sharia laws, what your future would look like. Okay. leave it for them to ultimately make their decision. You know, you and I aren't there to tell them, no, follow the Australian legal system. It's better for us or whatever. It just doesn't work that way. It's each individual's right to make that decision.
Yes. I'm so happy that you said that. Like, and you guys, I love it.
I don't want any more hate, please. I get enough. I don't want any more hate. I get enough.
I did too, don't worry.
Well, it's the price we pay for being out there and speaking up. And I think you have to speak up. I joke about it. I don't take it seriously, obviously.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's important that people know their rights. It's up to you to decide which one you want to go down. Okay.
And there's no right and wrong.
There's no right or wrong.
Such an amazing topic.
We have a great community. So supportive of each other.
And you know, we have to have, you know, just, you know, like me and you, Lamia, we have to speak out because people just don't know.
Well, we have to speak out because it's actually happening. We cannot put our heads in the sand and pretend things aren't happening, right? I do shield my followers on a lot of, I don't know what you want to call them. I call it abusive, traumatic cases, okay? Where I don't feel like people are ready to deal with it. But issues about, say, for example, Islamic law, Australia versus Australian law, for me, it's black and white.
Yeah.
Okay. It's not a difficult question for me to answer.
And I have a question about that. Okay. So let's say, for example, I get this question a lot. So you're going to help me with it as well. I want to talk about the Australian law and marriages. That's what I want to talk about because you're actually helping me with that. Okay. All right. There's a little elephant in the room. I'm going to ask a question and I hope you can help me with that. You're going to help me as well with it because it's a question that I kind of get and I just don't know how to answer it. That's
right. I'll try my best.
Let's say, for example, someone didn't get married in Australian law for whatever reason. Do they have any legal rights in Australia?
Okay. So let's just clear it up a little bit. When you say their marriage is not registered.
Yes.
So, for example, Islamic.
Yes.
Correct.
If someone married Islamic,
we use that all the time. Yeah. There's a lot of people that do their KK.
Yeah.
But they don't register the marriage.
Yep.
Under Australian law, that's recognised as a de facto relationship.
Yeah.
If you've lived with the person, so you've cohabitated with that person for over 2 years, it's then considered as a de facto relationship. They will then still have the same rights if the relationship should come to an end as the same as a person that has a marriage that's registered.
It's so good. I'm so happy that I answered that.
Yeah.
Like I asked that because a lot of people are like, oh, I'm not married in Australian law. I don't have any right. Excuse me. No.
Yeah. It's so sad that people think that. And just ask me, like it's they have the same rights. They're very well protected in Australia.
Anything else that you'd like to link with the subject? Anything else?
I get a lot of women say to me, just yesterday, a young lady said to me, my husband didn't even put the property in my name.
Oh, Michelle, go. And
I just say to them, doesn't matter if you're married, like she was married for over 10, I think she was married for, say 15 years. It doesn't matter if it's his name or your name. It is an asset that falls part of the matrimonial pool. Okay? So if you're,
if let's say, for example, he puts the house in the sister's or the mother's name, what happens then?
So obviously then it gets a little bit more messy.
Yeah.
Because you would have to prove that he, in fact, is the owner of that property.
Yeah.
And there's ways we can do that. But it would take some investigation.
Ooh, she has a private investigator, guys.
I do. I have a very amazing
in disguise.
Well, you know what? You need it. You need it in family.
You actually do.
And it's not just about following your ex around or whatnot, right? It's like investigating their business, their assets, their, who the relationships they have with different people from a business perspective. So it's really important, but it's expensive. We'll say that.
It would have to be, hey, but it's an investment that is definitely worth it, especially if you want to prove that you are an asset holder.
Yeah.
In any way. Anything else?
Another misconception. So many that AVOs.
Okay.
Can we talk about AVOs? I feel like our community needs to be very careful when you've decided that you want to leave your ex, or it's getting tough, even if you haven't left them yet, and you feel like it's, this relationship is getting too much. Okay. Be very careful around your ex. Okay. I had a client who was physically assaulted by her partner at the time, and she called the police. But when the police showed up to the property, she got cold feet. Okay. And didn't want to speak up, I guess, because the kids and whatnot, whatever the reasoning behind it. And so he then told the cops that she was the one who assaulted him and she was charged. So my takeaway from all of this is, whether you're a man or woman, it's not the point. The point is being very careful around your ex, because AVOs have a massive impact on a family law dispute in the courts, right? If you have an AVO against, say, for example, the man hits his wife or whatever and gets an AVO put against him, right?
Yeah.
And the kids were in the room, then that AVO if the AVO lists the children, that's going to affect his time with the kids during post divorce or post the relationship. So it works equally to both men and women, that they need to be very careful around their ex. And some people are manipulative or conniving and will make up stories which will impact your time with your children.
Wow. That was a big one. I'm sure I didn't expect that one.
It's really sad.
Anything else we want to leave our listeners and viewers with?
I don't know.
Like a big slap in the face of some information. I think the listeners will feel the exact same way.
Yeah. Sorry.
It's expected. Don't worry. They know.
I try to make law lighthearted, but it's very difficult to do this.
Yeah.
Doing what I do.
Yeah. It's kind of like you're really the big bad wolf, hey? You're going to huff and blow the hive.
I'm the hated, but it is what it is. And I actually love what I do because I'm able to help people. And if I ruffle some feathers, then so be it. Okay. I'm not going to be everyone's cup of tea, and I'm fine with that. I'm a big girl.
This is why I love you so much. It's exactly what I say. I'm not everyone's cup of tea. People don't even drink tea. People drink coffee.
Yeah, me too.
Lamia, thank you so much for your time today. I truly appreciate it. Guys, you can find Lamia on Instagram. Where do we find you, Lamia?
Lamia Lawyer.
And
on Instagram, TikTok, Lamia Lawyer. I'm supposed to be on Facebook, but I don't know how to use Facebook.
I will leave all her details and where to find her in the caption below.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for coming on here. I really appreciate your time. Have an amazing day, listeners. Hopefully you learned a lot about DV, relationships and women's rights, as well as had a little bit of a laugh with us today. I do apologize if this did trigger you, but as we needed to ruffle up some feathers to give you some information and some physical gems to help you with whatever you're dealing with. I will see you guys on the next episode and your next podcast. Until then, stay hyped and stay empowered. Mwah. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of the Hype Coach podcast. If you did enjoy this podcast episode, please share it on your socials. You can find me on IG, Safa Al Chami, TikTok, The Al Chami Life, and you can book a personal therapy package at my website, www.thehypecoach.com.au. I look forward to working with you. Let's grow.